Catastrophes tear people apart and unite them.
This video might get controversial, but I think it's an interesting concept, so let's see. I'm not sure if anyone on YouTube has already done similar things. If so, please don't mind that. So, the first meme. In 1989, I bet there will be flying cars in the future, and in 2020, a bunch of police guarding toilet papers. And I mean, in China, people too begin to stock up supplies for panic reasons, probably. Actually, there's a news where some thieves allegedly stole a pile of toilet papers. Which is funny because why didn't they just steal something more valuable in exchange for toilet papers, right? But it shows that people are like worried that they're in an apocalypse of some sort. This is rather ridiculous. And I wonder where this kind of meme of past unrealistic expectations versus nowadays reality started. I understand this kind of humor though, like science advances quickly, but when theory meets application, there will be problems arising everywhere. And that's why it's funny, compare it to the present and looking back. And now, meme number 2. For the average American, the best way to tell if you have COVID-19 is to cough in a rich person's face and wait for their test results. I do know for a fact that in Wuhan specifically, people there have to wait anxiously before finding out they're infected or not, so pretty similar if you do ask me about that. It's funny, probably for that reason as well, but it's not ideal of course. But it's funny. It is funny. Meme number 3. People normally walking out, phones on their hands, and people during quarantine, happily ever after. At least it means that we are now united together to fight against this pandemic, right? But it's ironic to see that we need some sort of common enemy or foe to be united together. Otherwise, we humans would just fight against one another, sort of, to become our own enemy, so to speak. As an Asian, I could say we could care less about what they call it, as assume it's the coronavirus. Chinese coronavirus, Wuhan virus, and Kung flu, pandemic. Wow, just wow. Yeah, it's rather fun. It's rather meme number 6, I guess. Chinese when they got diagnosed with coronavirus. I'm gonna head out. I'll travel across the land searching far and wide. Okay, I suppose it's the more radical territory. Nah, I think the majority of us Chinese know to stay inside, wearing masks and stuff like that. It's just that some of us are really unfortunate, not knowing that they are infected with disease, so they just travel the land, I suppose, far and wide. But no, most of us know our, okay? I'm sorry, but it's true. Meme number 6. Corona as the chair and stupid freaking people and Europe. Okay, I think as the meme says as well, it's just like the last one. It's just those silly people who would go outside. Most of us would be safe and stay inside, stuff like that. We are Chinese, we're smart, I swear. People in the world have to thank China for covering up the outbreak since November, science whistleblower in early December, still covering up the actual numbers till now, letting infected people travel around the world, and etc. etc. The heat is on. No, I'm kidding. It's interesting to see other people's point of views, especially when I'm only around people similar to me. I suppose you're talking about the Chinese government's doing, which is fine by me because as far as I could tell, actual people in China are really supportive of one another. On different social platforms, you can see people writing supportive words to Wuhan people, which is very sweet, of course. Actually, I could see many comments and Reddit posts similar to this one. I can't blame you guys. I mean, it's our fault that it started in China, it's a fact. It's from one of the comments on the Reddit post. It's not racist to call out the bullcrap that the Chinese government is doing. The Chinese government was never elected by the population, so they do not represent Chinese people. The CCP is a dictatorship that never tolerated any form of criticism, and has terminated the career of any journalist that even implied any form of malpractice. Their latest propaganda trick is to mix the term CCP with China and the Chinese people, so that they can play the race card in order to discourage criticism of the party, and the rest is falling for it, and a bunch of examples of the virus being named after the country it originated from. All these names are not racist, but when the West called it Chinese coronavirus, the CCP propaganda flipped out, which is funny considering they themselves called it Wuhan virus a couple of weeks ago. I personally don't care that much. Maybe it's because I live in Macau, which belongs to China but still kind of independent from it. It's true that the Chinese government is quite dictatorial. Every single government will do wrong sometimes, but when it's not a democratic one like the one we have here in Macau, you cannot blame the common citizens. But hey, at least the Chinese government is doing something right now. Let's just say that don't hate on Chinese people because we don't want this to happen as well. Nobody wants this to happen. Blaming does not help here, and these kind of memes, if not done correctly or well enough, could cause hatred on us Chinese people. It's not a great feeling at all, to say the least. Okay, that's the gist of today's video. It's quite eye-opening because I don't often actively look for memes online, and it's also cool to understand people's feelings and perspectives more through memes. Memes are educational, I'm telling you. And at last, I would like to ask you guys to have good moral about this situation, because the virus is against the body, but a great optimistic and still alerted mindset could certainly help. Goodbye.